jump right in. We're about to explore the powerful, and yeah, sometimes pretty risky, world of open source intelligence, especially when you throw AI into the mix. Welcome to The Explainer.
So that's the official kind of textbook definition of open source intelligence, or OSINT. Sounds a little dry, right? But it's really the bedrock of any modern investigation. The big question, though, is what does this all really mean today, in an age of AI, for anyone just trying to figure out what's true?
I mean, think about it. We are just drowning in a sea of public information. You've got social media posts flying by, news articles, public records, even satellite images. The biggest challenge for an investigator today isn't that there aren't enough clues. No way. It's finding that one critical signal in an absolute ocean of noise.
Okay, so let's break this down. What exactly is OSINT at its core? Let's get back to the fundamentals for a second.
Basically, it's all about piecing together clues that are hidden right out in the open. They're available to literally anyone who knows where to look, and this is the important part, how to look. That's why we call it the invisible detective. The sources are public, so you're not getting secret warrants or breaking down doors. You're just looking. So what happens when you give this invisible detective a superpower? A brand new toolkit that can read, see, and connect the dots faster than any human possibly could. Well, that right there is where AI enters the picture. And where are all these clues actually coming from? Well, if you look at the data, a whopping 75% is from social media and online datasets. Think about that. It's this huge, messy, constantly shifting landscape of information. And you know what? That just happens to be the perfect playground for an AI. This is where the AI detective becomes a massive force multiplier. It can do this almost superhuman level of analysis, just sifting through millions of data points at a scale and speed that, well, a human team just couldn't dream of matching. And this applies to everything, from tracking crypto to ensuring physical security. Okay, but here's a really crucial point. Not all AI is the same. Not even close. You have to think of the different models as different tools in the detective's toolkit. Some, like Claude, are fantastic for really deep, complex analysis. A llama model you run on your own machine, that gives you maximum privacy. But then you have others, like the super popular ChatGPT, which actually comes with a very low operational security, or OPSEC rating.
And this is the big dilemma, right? This amazing, incredible new power also brings with it some pretty significant new problems. The very tools that make the investigation possible can suddenly become your single biggest liability.
Because with great power comes, well, new dangers. So let's really dig into the key risks on this new frontier. We're talking security, ethics, and just plain reliability.
Let's start with operational security, because this is huge. Using the wrong tool can have some really serious consequences. For instance, a recent federal court order means OpenAI has to permanently store all conversations from ChatGPT. Just think about that. Your sensitive investigation could be saved forever and, potentially be seen by other people. That's a massive risk.
And it goes beyond just security. There's a massive ethics problem, too. Because these tools are so powerful and so easy to get, you end up with what some experts are calling the OSINT cowboys. These are amateurs who can do real, serious harm, misidentifying people, violating privacy, and gathering evidence that would never, ever hold up in a court of law. And this number right here, it really shows you how far behind the conversation is. A big review of over 500 academic papers on OSINT found that only 12%, just 12, even bother to focus on the ethical, legal, and social side of things. The technology is just racing ahead of the rules. Okay, so you've got these incredibly powerful tools on one hand, and these really serious risks on the other. So where does the human analyst, the actual detective, fit into this whole new picture? Well, a real investigation, a successful one, isn't just about scooping up data. It follows a pretty clear 5-step cycle. And it needs human judgment, strategy, and critical thinking at every single one of those stages. From asking the right questions in the beginning, all the way to delivering the findings in a way that makes sense at the end. But now look where the AI is actually being used. The research is pretty clear. It's overwhelmingly focused on just 2 of those 5 steps, processing and analysis. The really critical human skills, things like strategic planning, figuring out what questions to even ask, and then sharing the results effectively, those are still absolutely irreplaceable. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important point. It's about the world this technology is building around us and what it does to the very idea of truth. Up until now, we've been talking about how AI can find clues, but here's the twist. A certain kind of AI, what's called a GAN, can also create clues from scratch. I'm talking about generating totally synthetic data, fake images, audio, video, that is so realistic it's almost impossible to tell it apart from the real thing.
So that leaves us with one last, pretty provocative question. The AI detective can find any clue faster than we ever could, but it can also manufacture clues out of thin air. So when that line between discovering something and creating something gets blurry, how do we, the humans who are supposed to be in charge, decide what's actually real anymore?